A person of great virtue has a set destiny, but he or she has changed it. The same applies to those who have committed numerous offenses, for they too will have changed their destiny. We can see that Mr. Liao Fan did not cultivate either extremely good or bad deeds, since his life accorded so completely with what had been predicted. Can fate be changed? Can we escape it? To escape is to transcend. There are variables in the set numbers, and the set numbers were what Mr. Kong had predicted. The variables are within our control, but this is either what Mr. Kong did not know or did not calculate. We can recreate our own destiny. We can seek our own good fortune. There are variables within the set numbers. And this is what Mr. Liao Fan did not know about. Did Zen Master Yun Gu agree that there were set numbers? Yes. Before a person achieves the state of no thought, he or she is bound by destiny. The Master completely accepted the concept of predestination. However, we can change our destiny and thus we can recreate it. But we can only depend upon ourselves to do this, to become awakened. Nobody else can change our destiny for us. Destiny is created by ourselves, and we create our own good fortune. Since Mr. Liao Fan was an intellectual, he knew and understood the teachings of Confucius. So the Master cited principles from the Book of Songs and the Book of History to enlighten him. The Master understood these teachings and confirmed them to be important and true. From the book. In the Buddhist teachings, it is written that if we wish and seek for wealth, we will attain wealth. A son, a daughter, long life. We can wish and attain for all of these. We only have to cultivate kind deeds to escape the control of destiny. Since lying is one of the greatest offenses in Buddhism, we can be assured that these are not lies. Buddhas and Bodhisattvas have no reason to deceive us. End quote. In Buddhism, it is said that in seeking wealth, one will attain wealth. In seeking children, one will attain children. Even if we were not meant to have any children in this life, upon practicing kind deeds, we can have a child. In seeking long life, we can attain long life. Mr. Liao Fan was only meant to have a short life, was supposed to die at age 53. By cultivating according to the teachings, whatever we seek, we will attain. This is true, not false. Buddhism encourages us to create our own destinies, not be constrained by them. Living Buddha Master Zhang Jia said that in Buddhism, all our sincere pleas shall receive a response. He elaborated further. Some people are unable to get what they want. Why? They did not accord with the teachings. If we understand the principles and the methods and have sought something in accordance with the teachings, then we are assured of receiving a response to our pleas. If we do not receive the desired response, after having accorded with the teachings, it is due to our karmic obstacles. Once we have successfully eradicated these karmic obstacles, we will be able to attain the desired results. As Master Zhang Jia said, there is nothing we cannot receive once we properly seek it. Once we understand the fundamental principles, we will understand that everything in this world arises from our minds, changes due to our perceptions. If we seek to become Buddhas, we will become Buddhas. If we seek to become heavenly beings, we will become heavenly beings. The Flower Adornment Sutra tells us we should observe the nature of the Dharma realm as everything is created by the mind. Therefore, the way of seeking is to accord with the principle that everything arises from the mind is changed by our perception, our consciousness. A most suitable and perfect method is the teachings of the Buddha. If we were to seek youth, health, eternal life in accordance with these teachings, can we attain them? Certainly. The Master only gave Mr. Liao Fan some of the knowledge because Mr. Liao Fan was not very ambitious and only sought worldly fame, wealth, and prestige. Thus, the Master only taught him this limited part. The Master told him that lying is one of the worst offenses in Buddhism. There are 4 fundamental precepts or rules: no killing, stealing, lying, or sexual misconduct. Since no lying is one of the fundamental precepts, how could the Buddha lie? How could he deceive us? Thus, it is the truth, as the Master told us, that when seeking children, wealth, or long life, all can be attained. As Mr. Liao Fan had strictly practiced his teacher's guidance, he obtained what he sought from the book. I did not quite understand what he meant by attaining all that one wished for. So I asked him. He explained that Mencius once said, "Whatever is sought can be attained. The seeking is in ourselves." This refers to inner qualities of virtue, kindness, and morality. These are all qualities we can work towards. However, when it comes to outside factors such as wealth, fame, and prestige, how can we seek to attain them? The Master explained that Mencius was correct, but I had misunderstood him. End quote. How do we seek fame, wealth, prestige? These are external commodities and are also attainable. Whatever we do not have, such as fame or wealth, we can attain by seeking. So it would seem to be destined. Because if we are not destined to attain something, how can we seek it? This follows most people's understanding of destiny. The constant is predestination. The constant is the cause that we have created in our past life, and the result that we receive in our current life. We do not yet know that there are variables within the constants, that the results will change with the addition of variables. Indeed, wealth, fame, and prestige are attainable by us. From the book. Master Hui Neng, the sixth patriarch of the Zen school, taught that all the fields of merit are within one's heart. If one seeks from the true mind within, one can be in touch with all good fortunes. The outside is merely a reflection of the inside. By seeking inside ourselves, we cannot only attain the inner qualities of virtue, kindness, and morality, but we can also attain wealth, fame, and prestige. If wealth, fame, and prestige are already within our fate, then we will attain them without having to pursue them. If they are not, then we cannot attain them, even through plotting and scheming. End quote. Since ancient times in China, the Platform Sutra of the sixth patriarch Hui Neng, the Diamond Sutra, and the Surangama Sutra have been acknowledged as eminent literary works. The eloquent Platform Sutra, written by a Chinese patriarch. So it is, to the Chinese, it is particularly important. But we cannot think of it solely as a sutra of the Zen school. It is an overview of Buddhism as a whole. and also could be said to be Master Hui Nung's report of what he had learned through his study and practice. Whether attaining something outside of ourselves, such as material objects, or inside ourselves, such as virtues, we still need to seek from inside, from the mind, not from the outside. It would be incorrect to seek from the outside. Why? The outside factor is constant. It does not change. The mind is a variable. It is not constant. It changes. For 20 years, Mr. Liao Fan did not have wandering thoughts. Thus, his mind could be considered as having been pure. Not knowing of the variables, his mind accorded completely with the constants. Thus, the 20 years of his life were exactly as Mr. Kong had predicted. Everything occurred without the slightest deviation. This was because he did not understand the principle of the variables. The Master taught that the seeking is in ourselves. Integrity, thoughtfulness, and generosity are in the inside. They are the cultivation of virtuous conduct. Fame, wealth, and prestige are on the outside. They are the enjoyments in life. To be able to receive both kinds of benefits is invaluable. As is said in the Flower Adornment Sutra, not to be hindered in the matter of existing things or reality principles. To be the ultimate and perfect enjoyment, the great perfection of both the inside and the outside. It is when everything is going as we wish. It is when we are satisfied with everything. It is to be liberated. It is to do all that is benevolent, all that is noble as we wish. If we cannot attain such an enjoyable, such a wonderful life, then no one would want to practice Buddhism. Buddhism is neither negative nor passive. It is eminently practical. Nowadays, there is nothing more practical than the practice of Buddhism, for it addresses reality, addresses something truly attainable. It is crucial that we understand the importance of Buddhism to derive the benefits from it. The truth is that people have misunderstood Buddhism, and thus they have missed these benefits. If we are able to personally experience them, then we will know that of all teachings, Buddhism is a most remarkable and perfect education. It is definitely not outdated, and it is as appropriate now as it was 3,000 years ago. It is fitting for all people, whether in the East or in the West. from the book. The Master told me that if one cannot reflect inside one's heart, but blindly seeks fame, fortune, and long life from outside sources, then this seeking will be in vain. Just as Mencius said, in seeking one needs to follow the right path. In attaining, one attains what destiny entitles one to. Whatever is attained in the end is still part of our own destiny. If we try to seek these qualities from the outside, and even go to the extent of committing bad deeds for them, then we will not only lose our inner qualities of virtue and kindness, but our destined good fortune as well. Furthermore, wrongdoings committed in our mind, in the greed, in hope of obtaining more, will reduce the good fortune that was originally our destiny. From this, we can see that no benefit is attained from blind seeking. End quote. This is pertinent for our world today. Can everyone attain what they are seeking? No. If we attain it, it is something we were destined to have. Only when we receive what we are not destined to have can it be said that we have gained what we sought. It does not count when we receive what we are supposed to have, for we would have attained it without having sought it. For example, someone tells us that investing in the stock market is very profitable because they made millions of dollars in it. This person simply gained what he or she was supposed to. Others who are not destined to make money will simply lose it in the stock market. Not everyone profits from it if everyone wins who loses. Likewise, money won from gambling is something that the gambler was meant to have. Even the thief was meant to have what was stolen. If it had not been destined, then he or she would not have succeeded in stealing it. The ancients understood this. Thus they said, a person of noble character and integrity is happy to be a noble person, but it is not worth the effort for a villain to be a villain. Why? They will not be able to escape destiny, the constant. If we could just really understand the principles, then all of us would be content with what we have. In this way, we will enjoy a fulfilling life. Society will be stable. The world will be peaceful. And there will be no more hatred, no more wars. Buddhism teaches us to seek for something not destined in our lives, not within the constant. What we are able to attain from seeking belongs to the variable. How do we seek? From within. This is crucial in our world today. Today we are unable to seek awakening and to develop great virtue from the inside. Why? In our not understanding, we seek from the outside. We plan and scheme every day. But in seeking, we need to follow the right path. For even if we have the method, the plan, the means, then what? In attaining, we merely attained what we were supposed to have. Very simple. If we were not supposed to have it, we would not have attained it. The attainment was our destiny. The attainment was the constant. Mr. Liao Fan understood the constant, so he did not worry. He did not use various improper means to seek. He knew his own destiny. He knew not to give rise to wandering thoughts or use whatever method possible, because these were doomed to fail if they were not supposed to happen. To be at a loss inside and outside. What is inside? The impure mind. How would we not give rise to afflictions when our seeking on the outside is frustrated? For 20 years, Mr. Liao Fan conformed to Mr. Kong's predictions. Consequently, he did not lose the inside. He lost the outside because he did not think of anything. He did not seek anything inside. He maintained a sense of contentment and purity of mind. Everything on the outside is controlled by fate. Everything on the inside is controlled by us. Average people who fought tooth and nail to seek things from the outside would find that their knowledge and experience were incomparable compared to those of Mr. Liao Fan. He had achieved perfect peace of mind. Ordinary people end up with afflicted and unsettled minds. Whatever they attained was something they were destined to have. Therefore, they lost both inside and outside. And if one does not gain, one loses, thus ending up worse than before. From the book. The master then asked what Mr. Kong's predictions were regarding my entire life. I told him in detail, from the placement positions in the examinations to my appointment as an official, and finally the date of my death. He then asked if I felt if I deserved an imperial appointment or a son. I reflected upon my previous deeds and attitudes in the past for a long time. Then I answered him, no, I do not feel I deserve an imperial appointment or a son. Those who deserve an imperial appointment all have the appearance of good fortune, and I do not. I do not work towards accumulating virtues to build up my good fortune either. I am very impatient, intolerant, and undisciplined, and speak without any sense of restraint. Sometimes I show off my intelligence, putting down others. I have a strong sense of pride and arrogance. These are all signs of scant good fortune and virtue. How could I possibly receive an imperial appointment? End quote. The master did not directly answer the question. Rather, he asked Mr. Liao Fan a question to teach him to reflect within, to find the cause of his faults, his suffering, to determine whether he deserved an imperial appointment or not, whether he deserved to have a son. The discussion between the master and Mr. Liao Fan did not only include these two questions, but to Mr. Liao Fan, there was no need to mention the rest. These were the most important, and the two he was most concerned about. Mr. Liao Fan thought for a long time about what the master had asked. He then honestly answered that no, he deserved neither an imperial appointment nor a son. Of his honesty, there is a saying. Honesty is the foundation in developing virtue. If a person hides or glosses over his faults or covers up his mistakes, how can his future ever be promising? When we are honest and encounter benevolent teachers, they will be protective and guide us on the right path. On the other hand, if we are dishonest and arrogant, they will smile, but they will not seriously teach us. Mr. Liao Fan deeply regretted his faults, and this became the key to changing his destiny. He told the master that he did not deserve an imperial appointment because he did not have the appearance of good fortune. It is necessary for government officials to have the appearance of good fortune, or else the citizens will suffer. When they do have good fortune, then the citizens will benefit. Upon examination of ancient social systems, we see that educated and logical people did not have disputes. All caring government officials have the appearance of good fortune. Mr. Liao Fan, at this time in his life, had very little good fortune, nor was he willing to cultivate any. Thus, he did not even look like a government official. So at this time, he was not adequate enough to serve and to lead. Next, Mr. Liao Fan explained that he was very impatient, intolerant, and undisciplined. 3 serious faults. Becoming easily irritated gives us the appearance of lacking good fortune. Not being broad-minded, he was unable to be patient and tolerant of others. This is obviously a grave concern in a government official, because such bad qualities would render a person unable to choose properly and supervise or lead people, unable to justly serve others. Also, he frankly admitted that he was self-indulgent and quick-tempered. He did whatever he wanted, also something not readily endured by others. He was indiscreet in his speech and irresponsible in speaking at will without considering others. All these faults of impatience, intolerance, lack of discipline, speaking without restraint, and showing off his intelligence by putting down others have the appearance of misfortune rather than good fortune. People who have good fortune are kind-hearted and honest, broad-minded and tolerant of others. They are calm and dignified in manner and speech. Confucius said, "One does not inspire respect when one is not dignified." Only with dignity and the ability to inspire others is one able to convince people to interact effectively with them. Mr. Liao admitted that when he was young, he simply was not calm and dignified enough, and cited this as one of the reasons that he lacked good fortune and was thus undeserving of an imperial appointment. From the book. There is an old saying, "Life springs from the dirt of the earth, and water too clean often harbors no fish." The first reason why I feel I do not deserve a son is that I am overly attached to cleanness, resulting in a lack of thoughtfulness of others. The second reason is that harmony is the cultivator of life, but I am quick-tempered and easily become angry. The third reason is based on the principle that loving kindness is the basis of reproduction, and harshness is the root of sterility. I overly guard my reputation and cannot sacrifice anything for the sake of others. The fourth reason is that I talk too much, which wastes a lot of energy. The fifth reason is that I delight in drinking alcohol, and this depletes my spirit. To remain healthy, one does not sleep during the daytime and stay up during the night. The sixth reason I do not have a son is my habit of staying up late at night, not knowing how to conserve my energy. Aside from these, I have many other faults. End quote. The master had asked if he deserved a son. A proverb says, "When the ground is not clean, it will grow things. But when the water is too clear, it will have no fish." Fish know that in clear water they will easily be seen and thus easily be caught. Thus, they do not swim in clear water. It could also be said that when the ground has no dirt, it will not grow anything. Mr. Liao had an exaggerated fear of uncleanliness. To like being clean and neat is a good thing. However, to be overly so becomes an obsession. It is also not good to be unable to tolerate even the slightest bit of grime. And this is the first reason why he did not have a son. Harmony can help a family to prosper, as friendliness is conducive to business success. Mr. Liao Fan is not wealthy due to his quick temper. Since he was not wealthy, this placed his family in a precarious position. Also, he became angry at the least provocation. When he saw something displeasing, he was unable to endure or tolerate it. To behave in this manner shows a lack of good fortune, and this is the second reason he did not have a son. The third reason for not having a son was his lack of loving kindness, which is consideration for others. Mr. Liao Fan understood these principles, but he was unable to achieve them. Why? Because he was an unkind person. In other words, he valued his reputation and was unwilling to help others, which is another reason why he did not have a son. The fourth reason is that he talked too much, which frankly wasted a lot of time and energy. From his introspection, Mr. Liao Fan came up with 6 major reasons why he did not have children. The first 3 being overly concerned with cleanliness, being quick-tempered, and lacking loving kindness, were from the aspect of intention from the mind. The next 3, talking too much, drinking and staying up all night, were from the aspect of behavior, the body. He liked talking and criticizing people, indulged in gossiping about others' rights and wrongs, and liked winning arguments with others. These harm the body and exhaust our energy. He also liked to drink excessively, which harms the mind and drains our spirit. Lastly, he said he did not have a son because he spent the night chatting with friends, drinking, having a good time, and not bothering to take care of his health. By realizing that he had so many bad habits, Mr. Liao Fan was honestly admitting and feeling remorse for his erroneous behavior. To acknowledge all his faults without concealing any secrets is to regret and eradicate one's karmic obstacles. This must be done sincerely to be effective. Awakening is achieved when we are able to identify our faults. Cultivation is accomplished when we have realized these erroneous ways and corrected them. Since most people are not yet aware of their faults, they are not yet truly cultivating. Cultivation is to correct our faults, to correct our deviated behavior. Therefore, the first step in correcting our false ways is to recognize them, to be able to turn over a new leaf. Mr. Liao Fan was not so unusual. But once he admitted, due to the Master's questionings, admitted so honestly, he became most unusual. Because he completely considered discussion one by one. And this was the basic cause of how he was able to change his destiny. Why was he able to change his, but we are unable to change our destiny? We are completely ignorant of our faults, so we are unable to correct them. He was able to reflect within, to change each and every fault one by one. Thus, in doing so, he attained what he sought. On the inside, virtue and caring conduct. On the outside, wealth and children. Mr. Liao Fan did not seek from the outside. We did not see him bowing and burning incense in front of Guanyin Bodhisattva, seeking children, fame, wealth, and prestige. But nowadays, people seek, by merely going through the formalities of blind worship. They do not understand the principles. They seek what they desire, but this is the wrong way to do so. They will not be able to attain what they seek in this way. From day to night, we see countless people going to temples, burning candles and incense, while asking for wealth and children, attaining what their destiny had already entitled them to without having had to plead for them. In their ignorance, they think that what they received was granted by the grace of deities. Buddhist practitioners need to understand the truth, to seek what we desire in accordance with the teachings. In doing so, we will find what the Master taught, to gain both on the inside and on the outside. In this way, there is nothing we cannot attain. From the book. The Master said, "According to you then, there are many things in life you do not deserve, not just an imperial appointment or a son. Both good and bad fortune are formed from one's heart. Wise people know that everything they achieve or fail in life are only consequences of their thoughts and behavior. Only an ignorant person assumes that all is the work of fate. Those who have accumulated millions of dollars in this life cultivated the good fortune worthy of that amount. Those who have accumulated thousands of dollars in this life accumulated the fortune worthy of that amount. Those who die of starvation were in fact meant to die in that manner. We must understand that their own past thoughts and actions created the fate of all these people. The karmic result today is simply the fruit of their deeds." End quote. This advice from the Master is most important and must not be regarded as mere superstition. For to do so is to be deluded, and thus to be unable to believe the words of sages. The Master taught to reflect honestly within, and this enabled Mr. Liao to recognize his faults. Making offerings to infinite sages is a great virtuous deed. But we learn from the Infinite Life Sutra that it is even better to turn back from delusion and to earnestly and diligently cultivate. To do so is to turn over a new leaf. What ancient sages described as the great virtue of regretting and reforming. The Master told Mr. Liao that apparently he felt there were many things in life he did not deserve, not only a son or an imperial appointment. Attaining a high grade in the examinations and the resultant imperial appointment both rely on cultivation and the accumulation of merits and virtue. Those who have millions of dollars in this life talks about wealth and social position for which we need the right destiny. They are not easily attained. In Buddhism, it is said that for us to possess immense wealth, we must have practiced the giving of wealth in our past life. Can we force nature to grant us wealth? Impossible. To try to do so will bring disaster and misfortune. The ancient Chinese, who initially formed the Chinese character, had great wisdom. The two characters for fortune and misfortune are very similar, differing only the slightest bit. Thus, a small discrepancy leads to a great error. All this helps us to understand cause and effect. To understand that when we seek wealth and prestige in accordance with the teachings, we will find that everything is attainable. Millions of dollars represents wealth of the upper class. Thousands of dollars represents wealth and social position of the middle class. Because of the good causes planted in their past lives, these people attain their position, attain their wealth. Those who are meant to starve to death have committed numerous evil offenses in their past life. They did not practice giving, but were stingy and miserly. Unfortunately, there are many people like this in our world today. They are unwilling to do even the slightest of good deeds. They encourage others to give, but they do not follow their own advice. We know they will undergo the consequence of being poor in their next life. We all undergo the consequences of our causes. They are not imposed on us by an outside power that is controlling our lives. The Master said that the heavens do nothing more than punish those with the suffering they deserve and reward those who are kind with the good fortune they deserve. Some people in this world assume that everything is arranged by the will of heavenly beings, but this is not so. The true cause of everything that happens to us is our own behavior. Heavenly beings do not have any intentions for us. Only the great sages with true wisdom are able to clearly explain the true reality. Whether to be wealthy with good social position or to be poor with none is all within our destiny. Buddhism looks into the 3 times of the past, present, and future. It sees and understands the truth of life and the universe. Understands that we alone are responsible for everything that happens to us. Understands that everything is an illusion, that nothing can be attained, that there is no real gain, there is no real loss. As ordinary people, we only see the tiniest portion of the universe, not the whole. Of the 10 Dharma realms, we only remember having witnessed the human realm. In the human realm, we only see the present, neither the past nor the future. Therefore, we are unable to see as perfectly as Buddhas and Bodhisattvas do. We are unable to let go as perfectly as Buddhas and Bodhisattvas let go. We are unable to care for all sentient beings as Buddhas and Bodhisattvas care for all sentient beings. Each of us has our set destiny. The vast majority of us allow ourselves to be bound by that destiny. But we do not need to be. We have a choice. And we can choose to do all that is good and nothing that is bad. Everything in the universe is subject to the law of cause and effect. Once we understand this, we can begin to change our destiny. When our every thought is of benefiting others and we no longer have any single thought of selfishness, of controlling others, of possessing others, we will find our lives becoming more serene, more gentle, more joyful if we expand our hearts and accumulate merits and virtues and put our best efforts into bettering ourselves for the sake of all others without any expectation of reward, then both destiny and peace will be ours to create. We can choose to do nothing that is bad, all that is good. We can choose to be benevolent and broad-minded, to practice loving kindness and compassion. We can choose to give rise to the great Bodhi heart, to generate the heart of gentleness, to help all sentient beings in the universe. We can choose to alter the course of what is fated to happen, what is supposed to happen. We can change our destiny. The choice is up to us and only us. Amitofo. Thank you.